So I've created this video to show you how to download your search strategy from one of the research databases that you might have searched when conducting a knowledge synthesis, like a scoping review, a systematic review, an umbrella review, or other different knowledge synthesis strategies. So the reason we might do this is in order to kind of support the replicability of our research. So one important kind of hallmark of good research is that that another researcher could read our paper and pick it up and actually replicate what we've done. And so we really want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible about the methods that we have used. So providing the search strategy to a reader is really quite important when it comes to knowledge syntheses. The other thing that it does is it helps the reader to have the required information in order to assess the rigor of our research. And so we might include the search strategy in a research paper. So usually it's one database like Medline, for example. Sometimes it's Embase or another database, the search strategy that we've deployed in each of those databases. We usually choose one of them and include them in a published paper. In a thesis or a dissertation for a master's or a PhD, it's customary to include a sample search from each of the databases in the appendix of our thesis or dissertation. And so you'll want to do that for each of the databases that you search, not just one. In a published paper, it would just be one kind of search, typically the Medline search, in order to provide this information to the reader. So what I've done here is I've created sort of this very bare bones kind of search. So a search that's just really quite simple. Note that when conducting your own knowledge synthesis that you would want to have a much more detailed search than this one. I've only kind of provided this to just demonstrate how to download your search results in your search strategy from the database. In this case, we're using Medline on the Ovid platform. And you can see here that I have included 3 different concepts in the search. The first is homelessness, the second is boredom, and the third is substance use. And this is for a review focused on homelessness and boredom, and how boredom may be related to substance use among individuals who experience homelessness. And you can see here in line 4 of the search, I've actually combined all 3 of these concepts to identify the studies that include all 3 concepts in existing literature, at least in the Medline database. So you'll see here that this is quite a small body of literature. There are only 8 articles that have come up in a relatively large database like Medline. So this is a very limited body of literature. If you kind of scroll down, if you were conducting this search and you wanted to download your search results and your search strategy particularly, the first thing that you want to do is click on all here, and that would select all of the studies in your search. Then you want to click on export. You'll want to stay on the kind of default view. And keep this first format. I would prefer to work with Word because it's something that can be easily edited. So I would suggest that you use that, but you might choose another format for downloading your search results. And then for the fields, because we're really interested in the search strategy, we're not really looking for additional information about this, each individual study. So here I would just include like limited information. But if at any time you would like to have, the abstract and citation and so on, and the subject headings for each individual article in your search, then you can choose a more detailed option here. But for our purposes today, I will just choose citation. For the citation style, When you click on that, I would just leave it at Ovid labeled citation because again, we're not really looking for information about each individual study, but rather the search as a whole. If you're downloading this file for another purpose, you might choose to use a different style like APA, MLA, Vancouver style, and so on. But today we're just going to keep it at Ovid labeled citation. Here, we have three other options at the bottom. And the one that we really need is just the search history. And this will give us information about the keywords that are entered, the subject headings, and how everything was combined. So we can determine whether the search was conducted in a rigorous way. And then we can also enter the same terms in the future in order to replicate the search. Sometimes this can be really helpful when we're updating the search. So the next thing you want to do is click on export. And when you click on that, you'll end up with kind of a Word file that downloads into your internet browser. And we'll just open it up here. And you'll have to first enable editing. And what you're going to see is two different components. The first is information about every single study that is included in this search. And what we're going to do is for the purposes of just kind of keeping the search strategy is we're going to delete all of that information and we're going to be left with just this at the top. So this tells us what terms were entered, whether they were subject headings, key terms, and so on. And we're going to, and how they were combined. And this is the information that we need to include in our paper or in our thesis or dissertation. And so, then I would then save it as a Word file or a PDF. And this would be the search strategy for the Medline database that was included in my search.